To be brave means to believe in yourself even if you're afraid, or even though if others tells you that you cannot. To be brave means to have the ability of really trusting, loving, and supporting yourself. To get through whatever obstacle you have, to achieve whatever goal you have due to adversity or stuff. And yeah, to be brave means to be the best version of yourself to the limit, like with no fears, with no hesitating, with no doubts.
Well, the story of Carlota starts in a very nice and beautiful way because I wanted to wait to have another child until my first was old enough to be independent. So I waited 7 years and a half and we were expecting Carlota.
En el Hospital Parres, el hospital civil de aquí de Cuernavaca, Morelos, iba muy grave mi hija porque sentía dolores de parto, teniendo 5 meses de embarazo. A la hora que llegamos al Parres, inmediatamente se fue al quirófano y salió el doctor y me dijo: señora, las probabilidades de vida de su hija y de su nieta es muy pocas, por no decir que ninguna. Yo comencé a decirle: Dios mío, por favor, déjalas. Las necesitamos.
Well, I just remember getting into the surgery room and that was it. 10 days after that, I woke up. And her father told me like, it's a little girl and she has like a lot of beautiful curls. And like, who is a girl? I didn't remember I was pregnant. But it started. Suddenly, we bond.
Carlota nació a los 5 meses con 30 centímetros de estatura y medio kilo de peso. Algo increíble, la metieron a ella en la incubadora y Carla se fue a urgencias.
Carlota was a baby that needed a lot of stuff. She was afraid of water, like really scared. She was crying from start to the end. So I was like, something is not correct. Still like always guessing around and telling the doctors, I think there's something wrong. So I told the doctor, please, make her all the exams necessary to know that everything is correct. And he told me like, okay, Carla, you were right. Carlota has a brain palsy, infantile brain palsy. And he told the name that now it's easy for me to say like my name. Is hemiparesia spástica izquierda. It's left, spastic, hemiparesic. The worst was like a punch, because he told me like, and she will live between 18 and 21 years. So grieving becomes I think, hopefully not, but every mom's situation after diagnosis. But then, even though you fail and step up and fail again and fall and fall and fall, you have to step up because life continues.
My mom is the most kind person ever. She's sometimes, actually, I don't get how she's so happy. Like, she's happy all the time, but yeah, I mean, that's great. My mom is a strong woman. She's the strongest woman I know. And to me, she's like my world. So, yeah.
That's the great
Pacal, he's definitely the best brother that I could ever have, or anyone could have. He's like my partner in life. He's really sportive. He's really sentimental. And yeah, and for me, Pacal is Yeah, like my person.
Estábamos en un videocentro que había todavía. Estábamos ahí y una señora vio a Carlota cómo caminaba así, chuequita, y dijo, perdone, ¿qué tiene? Dice, pues es espasticidad y parálisis cerebral. Dijo, ¿me permite? Llevaba una tarjeta del Shriners y se la dio a mi hija.
Being accepted as a Shriner family. Ooh, wow. That's why it's like, before I told you that I don't remember my life before 5 Carlotas, because at 5 she was accepted as a Shriner Hospital patient. And from then on, my life started. So, finding Shriner Hospital was the gift of my life, and of all my family life.
In Shriners, they treat you the best way possible. All the attention, the help, the medical feedback. It's amazing. You wouldn't get that anywhere else. Every single person there, they make you love yourself more. That's the word, yeah. And Shriners Hospital is, yeah, it's like a second home. So I have had 5 surgeries at the hospital. The first one was when I was 5, and then the next one was until I was 14. When I was 14, it was really big, complicated surgery.
Su condición es una lesión cerebral que se inicia al nacimiento generalmente cuando hay hipoxia, que significa que no llega oxígeno al cerebro. Entonces esto hace que ciertas funciones motoras se dañen y afecten la formación de las extremidades. En este caso solo es un lado, la mano y la pierna. Y la condición es que hay una desviación del pie hacia afuera que se había intentado tratar con una cirugía previa, pero el hueso no respondió lo suficiente para pegar y entonces le condicionaba dolor y aún así desviación. Entonces lo que hice fue revisar esa cirugía para alinear su hueso, hacer que pegara y se quitara el dolor y tuviera una mejor posición. En mi opinión, creo que el Hospital Shriners es un oasis en el sistema de salud en México, hablando, ya que la mayoría de los hospitales, pues desgraciadamente no cuentan con todos los insumos, con toda la tecnología, y aquí les damos esa oportunidad. El Shriners les da esa oportunidad a todos los niños, entre ellos Carlota, y creo que en parte todos sus logros también son porque hemos podido ayudarla a que ella sea mejor, físicamente hablando.
I have had ups and downs with pain, obviously. I did went to a really low point of my life when I couldn't handle the pain anymore. And I told my mom I wanted to get my leg amputated.
I said, like, okay, let's do this. Let's give a chance to swimming. And she said, like, what? She know about swimming because Pacal used to be on the state team.
Carlota fue una experiencia de nadadora que tuve en mi centro de desarrollo que tengo privado en la ciudad de Cuernavaca, donde se presentaron para una evaluación metodológica y determinar qué características tendría como atleta. Ahí tuve el gusto de conocer a Carlota y a su mamá. Quedé con una empatía muy marcada inmediatamente porque se veía las ganas, el hambre que tenía Carlota por querer ser atleta de alto rendimiento, y esa fue mi primera impresión que tuve de ambas.
When I started swimming, I realized that I couldn't kick with my left foot. So I needed to kind of create a balance there, and I needed to kick way more with my right foot. But it was awesome because there's when I realized like, oh, I'm capable of doing things for my good to, achieve what I want to achieve. And the freedom that I realized I felt when I started swimming, it's just crazy because I feel like the pool and the water, it's my place. Like that's where I belong.
El trabajo de desarrollo que tiene que tener Carlota durante los próximos 2-3 años está enfocado directamente a la participación y asistencia de ella a los Juegos Paralímpicos de Los Ángeles 2028, donde el proceso de planificación hacia esa preparación involucra 5 o 6 eventos internacionales y finalmente los Juegos Panamericanos que se van a realizar en el 2027 en Lima, Perú, donde va a dar el punto final para el resultado. Las cualidades para que un atleta sea atleta de alto rendimiento y logre sus objetivos, no nomás está en la preparación física, sino en la preparación intelectual, en el énfasis y en la definición exacta de lo que quiere en la vida. Y estoy seguro de que Carlota tiene todos esos pormenores para poder lograrlo.
We were on the golf tournament that was here in Mexico, and after lunch, Carlota was asked to be in every table, and Carlota started talking with one Shriner, Javier Lopez and Maria Antonieta, his wife. They're the most beautiful people.
And I was telling him like my process in swimming and stuff, and he asked me like, does the country or state pays for all of that? And I was like, no. And he just called my mom and he told her like, your daughter is gonna go to every competition she needs, don't worry about it, like we got it. And that was really like a beautiful feeling to see how people that don't even know you want to support you and admire you. So it's crazy and I'm really thankful for them. I attend school online. I'm studying psychology and I want to specialize in sport because it would be great from my athlete perspective to help in the future athletes that are going through, something in their life. Meditation has completely changed my life when I've been into surgeries. I think if I hadn't had meditation during the surgeries, I would probably, I meditate every morning and every night. It helps me a lot with, sometimes stress or frustration. I also feel that meditation is a really big part of who I am. So I started to get like this love for socks out of nowhere. I like when people is like, oh, your socks has, strawberries in it. And I'm like, yeah. But yeah, I like socks with funny designs in it. I really like photography because I really love the way that you can capture things. I feel you can bring moments of life to something physical that you can later on, like you can watch it again and you will remember.
Carlota inspires me because there's no limit. Carlota said to me in a super calm and just like a random fact. I was like, oh yeah, my feet hurts a little bit more today. And I think I never realized until that point that she's in constant pain. The muscles they're all like super tense in her leg sometimes goes to her hand and too. Like walking from here to the kitchen, that's an effort. And for everybody else, that's effortless.
To be blessed to have Carlota as my daughter and as my companion these years has inspired my life because nothing has been easy. But we've been there to support each other for the good, for the bad. And looking back just make me feel so proud.
Carlota, quiero decirte que estoy orgullosísima de ti, porque para mí tú no sabes lo que significa El que te tuviera yo como mamá cangura durante mucho tiempo y todo, y verte realizada ya como una mujer hecha y derecha, que trabajas, que estudias, que entrenas. Para mí, eres un ejemplo de vida para mucha gente. Y cualquier cosa que necesites, si lo sabes, cuentas con mi amor completamente. Te amo. Te amo mucho.
Te amo, Tony. I'm really proud of myself. I feel confident. I feel strong. I feel capable of showing the world what I want to show. And I'm looking forward to being an Olympic champion and the best international patient ambassador that they have had in Shriners history.
To be brave means not only the quintessential definition of one man standing against 100, but doing the right thing even when no one is watching, not being afraid to do what you know is right, and being able to share your faith.
Brandon was a healthy, active 6-year-old boy. In fact, he had just finished playing his last baseball game of the season, and we had noticed he had a little dribble, so, maybe he started a cold or something. By Tuesday, his teacher mentioned that he had had a really bad headache, at school. And Wednesday, he woke up with a fever, so of course kept him home from school that day. Thursday, things were just kind of progressing. You could tell he wasn't feeling great. Saturday morning, Brandon woke up and, I was downstairs. We heard a loud thump.
I ran up to his room and he told me he couldn't move his arm and he couldn't move his leg. And I scooped him up. At that point, we did take him. I remember carrying him into the emergency room and telling them, what was going on. And thankfully, they didn't make us wait. They took us straight back and immediately started running tests. And I remember trying to text with Kathleen and call her because she was still at home with the other kids and keeping her up to date. What's going on? What are they saying? What's next? And just a complete feeling of helplessness.
I just remember just crying and just worried that he wouldn't make it or something, just praying that God would leave him here with us.
Acute flaccid myelitis is what he has, or we call it AFM. And it's basically the new polio. So polio was hugely devastating basically a century ago almost. And it was a big concern at the time because all these kids were becoming paralyzed and some kids were dying. And if you remember the iron lung and all these other things that happened at that time. It is coming full circle from polio to acute flaccid myelitis. And the Shrine was there the whole time. It was 2014 when AFM really made its debut. And Brandon, he got it in 2016, I believe. And so he was kind of the second year of acute flaccid myelitis that we saw in the US. And for Brandon's family, they were very distraught. I think that it was a bit of a shock when you have a kid who's doing everything that a kid does, and then all of a sudden, for no particular reason, gets a cold, or seemingly gets a cold, and then they can't move their arm.
Acute flaccid myelitis which can mean that you have some weakness and you lose the ability of some of your nerves to work. It primarily affected his lower extremities and his upper one arm. And he's received lots of treatment for that at various shrines along the way, lots of therapy.
I was Brandon's first grade teacher. This was the year he was diagnosed. He was with me in August, just a few weeks before he became ill. He left my classroom one day thinking he had a cold and didn't return to school until January. And when he came back in a wheelchair.
Brandon was handed something early. And what I do notice about those that happens to, they tend to, in some ways, grow up sooner. They tend to be more steady. They just achieve more, but some of it's his personality too. I mean, he's a, like I say, a plucky guy, and he has a good attitude, and I think that goes a long way to overcoming the difficulties.
So we had finished that set of intense pediatric therapy at CHOA in Atlanta, and we obviously had to come back home. We couldn't stay away forever. And we were looking for a everyday in and out therapy that is good, solid, and helpful. And we found Shriners. I had gone there before. I had broken my foot via jumping off a coffee table, because, as a 5-year-old does, right? And so we had gone there. They had helped me, gotten an x-ray, got my foot in a cast. We kind of recalled and went for a visit to see if they could do anything, and it was exactly what I needed.
After we went to Shriners for the first appointment, Kathleen and I both took him, and we sat in there with the doctors discussing where we had come from, where he was today, and it was very evident we were in the right place.
Immediately, got him in, and, he started going to therapy there pretty much every day for PT and OT. They would set up obstacle courses. They would, have him balance, and, I would toss the ball and the therapist would hold him, and, they would play baseball or football. So they did a really great job of, certain things he had to do, but then they would reward it with something else, fun for him.
When I first met Brandon, I thought he would do very well because he's got a great family support structure. They were very proactive in all of his care, involved with physical therapy.
The hardest thing I've ever done was learning to walk again, not only physically but also mentally. It was one of the hardest yet most rewarding things, realizing that I can be normal and I can have an opportunity at a life like everybody else, and not have to be wheelchair bound. Not that that's a bad thing. There's millions and millions of opportunities, but as a 6-year-old, it was a really, really big thing to me to be able to just even do something as simple as walk.
One of the OTs shared with us about some of the new developments that Dr. Z and Dr. Kozen were doing in Shriners in Philadelphia.
Basically a nerve transfer procedure. They take nerves that are functioning and reconnect them to muscles that are not.
What we try to do is we try to find things that are redundant in the nervous system. And in Brandon's case, for example, there's a lot of redundancy in both the ulnar nerve and the median nerve, which are nerves that go to your hand. And we used one of them to give him elbow bending, and the other one we used to try to get elbow extension or straightening of the elbow, so biceps and triceps.
After the surgery was over, months more, obviously, of therapy, and over time, that first time when they were able to see the nerve fire just a little bit in his arm, I remember so much excitement. Kathleen calling me at work that they saw it fire, and the Shriners OTs continue to work and to try to do as much as they possibly could to help that one fire keep growing and growing.
Before the surgery, I had 0 function in my arm, and I couldn't do anything with it. I can now do a bicep curl, and I can function and eat almost like normal.
Brandon, I think, is a pretty special kid. He is a very strong, very compassionate child who is mature way beyond his years, actually. I think Shriners occupies a very special place in the medical system, in that we can do things that other hospitals can't. I don't think it's any coincidence that we have become the center for acute flaccid myelitis in the world. It just shows you how, if you have the right resources, you can tackle really difficult problems that other people are not able to tackle.
Because of his weakness on one side, one leg is not as long as the other. So there may be surgery in the future to increase his short leg or shorten his long leg. If his scoliosis progresses, we may need to do a spine fusion to prevent that scoliosis from further progressing in the future.
The difference between Shriners and a normal run-of-the-mill medical facility is the feeling of home that you get. I've never been anywhere that I feel the same way I do at Shriners. Everybody knows you, everybody is doing their absolute best to make sure that you get what you need, and that is one of the greatest feelings.
I think just the system as a whole, they were able to focus therapists just for him. Would bring in therapy dogs, which Brandon absolutely adored. And so I think just, beyond the initial medical component of it even, I think there was so much attention to the detail of how do we care for all of the child, not just whatever is wrong with their leg. It's just been a massive, massive blessing to our family.
Our church has been a huge part of our life, period. Even previous to Brandon's diagnosis, throughout it, prayers, meals, helping take care of us, to everything else.
My faith has grown a lot through being disabled. I've realized that God has given me this platform to be able to honor Him and bring glory. I hope that through everything that I've been through, I will be able to, even if it's only one person, share my faith with somebody. I go to a smaller Christian school, and we have around 1,000 students. One of the pros of that is that everybody knows each other. I know all of the seniors, and everyone, just loves to hang out. It's a very close-knit group, even for 1,000 people.
All right, let's get serious. High five.
Working with tools, working in the workshop has been a part of my life with my dad, and then was a part of his life with me in learning and doing things. I have noticed over the years, as Brandon has gotten better with his craft and what he's doing, it does almost seem therapeutic.
Woodworking and creating the cutting boards, it's a great stress reliever to me. It's very, very relaxing. It's methodical. There's a process, and it's something that you can count on. If everything else in life is going crazy, you can go down to the workshop and make a cutting board.
The pride when he comes upstairs and shows us the newest creation of a cutting board or something with the wood and the different tones is just awesome.
I love to create things. I love to make stuff that makes other people happy. And I also love cooking, so it's nice to be able to, as I'm cutting up a steak or bread, I can think that, wow, I made this cutting board. And that's really enjoyable for me as well. My brothers have always been there for me. Even staying at home, sacrificing, not being around our parents and having to grow up a little bit on their own. And that means a lot to me.
Brandon is a good brother because he's always loved me, even when he's having a rough day.
I'm proud of Brandon because he's hardworking, smart, he doesn't let very many things stop him. He's always willing to help when needed and doing what he can, not letting things stop him.
When I think of the future for Brandon, clearly I get teary. I don't know, I just think anything is possible for him. He's very determined and driven and just so happy.
My biggest goal right now is to graduate high school with college credit, and then I can get a bachelor's degree. I don't know what in yet, but I do look to go to law school and be a transactional lawyer. I want to be a transactional lawyer because I really enjoy authorizing stuff. I enjoy numbers, and I think that there's great opportunities for growth or even starting my own law firm at some point.
It's part of what I love about him is that he's not wearing his challenges on his sleeve. He seems to take the challenges as something to be used, to be turned for good. And I think that goes a long way to overcoming the difficulties.
Not only is he the kind of kid who's an overcomer, but he has great faith that this is what God has for him as part of his life in his story. He's got big ideas. And Brandon will come into class, and he definitely shows leadership qualities among his peers.
Brandon will be a great international patient ambassador because he can show everybody that kids like him can overcome their challenges and be their best selves and reach their full potential and even maybe exceed their original potential.
Giving back as an international patient ambassador means so much to me because of everything that has been done for me and given for me. I wouldn't be able to use my right arm. I wouldn't be able to walk if it weren't for Shriners. I am so grateful for that, and I want to be able to provide that opportunity for every kid that needs it.